Welcome to the Foundations of Flow course. My name is Francie, and I am so excited to share this journey with you, breaking down the elements of a flow practice to help empower you and inspire you and educate you so that you feel confident on the mat or within your own home practice. So throughout this course, I aim to provide you practical tools to understand what comes next in a balanced flow practice and how to feel confident on the mat. We'll start with warming up the body, meditation, intention, move on to sun salutations, this beautiful template for a practice, explore standing poses, balance poses, core work, move into grounded, seated flow to help draw us into the center, into our meditation, backbends, inversions, and shavasana. When you complete this course, you will totally understand the flow of a balanced vinyasa practice and really be able to find joy on the mat. I hope that you join me for this journey and that you get a lot of value from our time together. The light in me sees the light in you, and I know that we are one. Namaste. The ABCs of yoga. So before I was a yoga teacher, I was actually a kindergarten and grade 1 teacher. And so where do you start when you're learning how to read? With the ABCs. And then actually it's the same with yoga. We have the ABCs of yoga that can really help to map our journey with the practice. So again, whether you're new to yoga or whether you're looking to deepen your yoga, it's important to remember the ABCs: alignment and attitude, breath and balance, and conscious awareness, or chakras, consciousness. So A for alignment. When we're talking about alignment, we're talking about the body. We're talking about the alignment of the body so that the energy and the breath can flow with grace and ease. So we're talking about putting ourselves into shape in a way that supports longevity, that supports health and wellness and prevents injury. And we're also talking about the alignment of our attitude, our willingness to be in this moment present, our willingness to do the work. If we want to be more strong, we have to be willing to develop strength, courage, compassion, all of the qualities that we're fostering. So throughout this series, we're going to break down the alignment of many of the basic postures. But there are a few keys that I want you to have now before we start. So with the alignment, the word asana means to take a comfortable seat. And the main alignment points of asana, according to the Yoga Sutras, Sthira Sukha Asanam. This translates as steadiness and ease in our asana, in these shapes that we're making with our breath. So no matter what shape you're taking with your body, no matter which pose or asana, the key element that we want to cultivate is steadiness and ease, feeling relaxed. So if you feel like you can't breathe or you're overstressed or you're shaking, then you are no longer in yoga. You are out of alignment because the main alignment pose is steadiness and ease. And there are certain ways you can track in your body that you are maintaining that steadiness and ease. So a softness in your eyes. See if you can soften your eyes right now. Soften all the muscles of your face. We tend to hold all of our expression, our frustration, our excitement, whatever is arising, it holds in the face. So see if you can come to a neutral, soft face. hard. Keep a softness in the belly. Bring your hands to your belly. Make sure that there's a softness. You're not trying to hold your belly in to make yourself look all nice and thin, but really just relax. So these are qualities. With our hands, we want our hands to be spread out and expressing, and our feet, same way, spread out and expressing. Our knees and our elbows are always soft. We want to avoid hyperextending. I've got a nicely exaggerated hyperextension with my elbows, exaggeration to prove a point, right? So we always want to keep a soft, yielding motion with the elbows and the knees. We always want our pelvis to be in a neutral place. So if you feel like you're overarching the spine and there's an arch in the spine, we always want to hug the belly in towards the spine to create that neutrality, to create that foundation for our spine to be nice and long. Our head and our neck, our chin draws in, and our neck is always long in alignment with the spine. So these are just some basic alignment points that I'll revisit throughout each pose, but just so that you have an advanced awareness of what I'm going to bring. So in every pose, we come into the alignment. We come into the shape. We get our hands nice, our shoulders relaxed away from the ears, our neck long and aligned with our spine, our elbows and knees soft, our belly soft. And once we have the alignment of our body, once we have the alignment of our mind, that willingness to be present, that willingness to be open, then we come to the cosmic dancer that is the breath, or prana shakti as it's also known. The breath is that which brings life to this form. It is our connection between our inner world and our outer world. And what makes yoga yoga is the breath, is the awareness of the breath. So throughout our practice, throughout the rest of this course, throughout every time you make it to the mat to show up and do a practice, coming into awareness of the breath is going to help steady your mind and cleanse your life force energy. We always want the breath to be smooth, flowing, and again, relaxed and at ease. I'm going to introduce you to the Ujjayi breath in this series, a special form of pranayama that we can use to help focus the mind and build heat and mastery in our body. But no matter what type of pranayama that you do, the key is to keep mindfulness of the breath, keep steadiness, ease, and presence with the breath. Because once we make it through the first 2 letters of the alphabet, once we get from alignment to breath, then we come into the real reason that we're practicing yoga, which is to develop heightened levels of conscious awareness. And to be honest, it can be a little bit of a burden sometimes to have more conscious awareness, because suddenly, once we start being more aware of the tensions in our body, the tensions in our mind, the stresses, the thought loops, the more responsibility we have to take to make changes in our lives so that we can come into more alignment. The more conscious we become, the more freedom we invite into our lives, the more peace we bring into our lives. So this is the reason that we practice yoga, to become more conscious, to become more aware of our thoughts, behaviors, and actions. So I know you probably come to yoga. Many of us have come to yoga because we want to have fitter, stronger, more balanced and flexible bodies. And this is such a worthwhile reason to come to yoga. It really fosters well-being, longevity, joy, peace, ease, grace, flow. But once we have those qualities in our body, then it becomes easy to master those same qualities in our hearts and in our minds. So throughout our course, I invite you to remember the ABCs of a yoga practice. alignment, come into the shape, adjust yourself so that you're feeling relaxed and at ease. Come into the breath, maintain the drishti or the focus on your breath to bring a quality of meditation and flow to your movements. And then conscious awareness, bringing that quality of mindfulness and presence so that we can cultivate more freedom, joy, peace, ease, and grace in our lives. In general, the first section of a yoga practice begins with sitting. So we start with sitting or meditation, add some breath practices, and then move on to some warm-ups. So we're going to start with sitting well. I always sit with a cushion or a block under my sit bones to elevate me, to turn my pelvis forward to help support a nice long spine. In yoga, the spine is the energetic superhighway of the body, and the alignment of the spine, sitting up nice and tall, having that length, that free flow of energy, the potential for the free flow of energy to move through is of the utmost importance. So for you, it might be sitting on a chair. It might be bringing cushions or blocks under the knee. And there are many ways to sit well. You can sit as I'm sitting now with one foot in front of the other. This is called siddhasana. And when I share a word in Sanskrit, the idea is just to bring the vibration of this powerful language and of the tradition of this practice into the space. If you'd like, you're welcome to repeat the word after me. So again, this is siddhasana or siddhi-yoni-asana if you're a girl. You're welcome to sit in a half lotus, Ardha Padmasana, drawing one foot in and above, flesh away from the sit bone. A full lotus, if that's available to you. Or you can sit simply cross-legged. This is called Sukhasana or tailor's pose. Now, the idea with our sitting meditation is that we want to cultivate a still mind. So we say in yoga, still body, still mind. So we want to avoid as much fidgeting and giving ourselves manicures and pedicures as much as possible. Compassion for ourselves when we do that. It doesn't have to be perfect right away. So if when we're sitting, it gets to be too uncomfortable, then you're welcome always to release the feet, or maybe even come and sit in what we call hero's pose. You can even bring a cushion under your knees here. Sit on your heels, and again, your spine is supported to be nice and tall. So the key thing is to sit comfortably. The word asana literally means to find a comfortable seat, and it's through all of these movements and shapes that we make throughout the practice that we're trying to create the conditions in our body to sit in meditation for long periods of time. So asana is all just preparation to sit. This is why when people say, oh, I'm not good at yoga or I'm not flexible, I try to remind them that it really, truly is the journey rather than the destination. Being good at yoga has nothing to do with being able to put your toe behind your head or do the splits or even touch your toes. It's about a willingness to become more flexible, a willingness to breathe, and an openness to love this moment exactly as it is. So let's find our comfortable seat, taking the flesh away from the sit bones, wiggling the rib cage away from the belly, take the shoulders up to the ears and roll them down the back. I like to take chin mudra with my hands. A mudra is an energetic seal, and it's a tool, a technique for maintaining presence in meditation. So I've got my thumb and my index finger touching. My arms are nice and long. And there's so much symbolism here too. The thumb and the index finger represent the student coming into connection with the teacher, the individual self coming into contact with our highest self, to name a few. So when you're ready, we will take a nice deep breath in through the nose and gently close the eyes. The beginning of our yoga practice is all about grounding and tuning in. So take a few moments just to scan the body, mind, and notice, is there any tension in the body? Any heaviness, any tightness, any cobwebs that have formed? And what about in the mind? How is the mind feeling? Is it busy? Is it moving fast? Is it moving slow? Are thoughts going to what happened this morning, yesterday? Or are they trickling into the future? Or perhaps are you feeling present? And how are you feeling in the heart? Is there any emotion present, any sensation? So this is the most important quality to cultivate at the start of our practice, grounding and tuning in. Well, what we do next is come into the breath. So I'll have you open your eyes for this one. There are several different breath techniques that we work with in yoga. And one of the main techniques is called the Ujjayi breath. So you can say that after me, Ujjayi breath. Ujjayi translates to victorious or uprising. And what we're gaining victory over, and what we are gaining victory over, what we're practicing here is gaining mastery over our wandering mind. So becoming a master of our mind rather than a servant to our mind. So the Ujjayi breath is an oceanic breath. It's an audible breath that's smooth, flowing, and continuous. So bring one hand in front of your mouth. Take a nice deep breath in and imagine that you're fogging a mirror. So you can feel the breath on the hand. Let's try it again. Big breath in. We'll try it again. This time we'll close our mouths halfway through. So inhale. Continuing to feel that oceanic quality. Let's try it again. This time the lips closed the whole time. Let's try a few more cycles together. Big breath in. Good. The focus of the mind, also known as the drishti, is either to the back of the throat or to the third eye. So we want to keep our gaze point still. So throughout our practice, throughout this unveiling of the elements of our practice, I invite you to come into the Ujjayi breath as often as you remember. The more we remember to come back to the breath, the more present that we are, the more presence that we cultivate. So first thing we do is sit well, ground in, tune in. Then we come into the breath. Maybe you're just following the inhale and the exhale, or maybe you are coming into this Ujjayi breath, this victorious or oceanic breath. Then comes sankalpa. The word sankalpa loosely translates as resolution. It's our resolution for evolution. It's the reason that we've come into the mat today. It's the reason that we want to learn more about yoga. It's the reason that we know deep down that having a practice would benefit our lives. So maybe you want to slow down. Maybe you want to cultivate more inner strength, balance, and flexibility. Maybe you want to cultivate more compassion and kindness in your life, more presence, more ability to let go. There are infinite qualities that we can cultivate throughout our yoga practice. And you're welcome to work with the same sankalpa, the same intention throughout every single yoga practice, or it can be different every day. So for our intention, we bring our hands together in what's known as Anjali Mudra. Anjali Mudra, where we bring together the right hand and the left hand, the lunar and the solar. We come into unity at our heart. Yoga translates as unity or union, coming into a yoking of all of the dualities of life. We bring that prayer to our heart center, elevate the elbows, lift the heart, draw the shoulders down the back, connect to our intention, and then sealing our intention, we create a container for our practice with the sound of Om. So Om is the most famous of mantras. It's said to be the pranava, the primordial sound, the sound of everything in the universe vibrating all together, all at once. And when we chant Om, we're said to come into harmony within ourselves, also within the environment all around us. So let's try to come into this connection to our intention. So I'll have you close your eyes again, lengthen your spine. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. A soft sigh or exhale from the mouth. Bringing your awareness into your heart. Cultivating your intention, perhaps even your intention for taking this workshop with me. And we'll sing 3 beautiful Oms together from the heart. So please feel welcome to join me. And take a nice and deep breath in. At the end of our Oms, we always leave a space of silence for integration. And then we bow the head to the heart. This bowing in reverence to the heart, this great teacher that lives within us. Softly release the hands, open the eyes, lift the head. So that concludes the first part of our yoga practice, which is really just setting the stage, grounding in, tuning in, coming into the breath, coming into our intention, creating the bhav, creating the spirit that we want to bring into our practice. So now we come into warm-ups, warming up the body, creating heat in the body, slowly bringing fluidity and flexibility into the body. So there are many ways to do this, and I'm going to show you just a few little exercises to help you feel confident to tune into your own body and see what's going to benefit you the most in any given moment. So we'll start with the head. So bring your chin to your chest. And we'll start with a few neck rolls. So bringing your ear to your shoulder, and then slowly coming back through center, coming to the opposite shoulder. And slowly beginning to roll the head all the way back, just moving mindfully and slowly, making sure that it feels comfortable and easeful. Make sure that your moving slowly and with the breath, allowing yourself to hang out in any position that feels like it could really benefit from more breath and more space. That feels good. And slowly change directions. So important to warm up the body, to slowly build heat in the body to protect against injury and to really create that space and warmth. So you're welcome to draw circles or figure eights with your nose. I always work with my eyes closed in a practice because it helps me to draw my awareness within. It helps to turn this into a movement meditation. And slowly come back to center. Bring your hands to your shoulders. Let's begin to draw big circles. So you can see that right now we're moving in circles from the head and gently moving down into the body. So this is one way that you might like to warm up your body. Change direction, drawing circles, creating nice flowing movements, gently awakening. We're going to do just a few more upper body openers, awakening the breath, awakening the chest, the neck, the shoulders. Release the hands. Inhale, sweep your arms up, interlace the hands, palms reach up. Wiggle the rib cage nice and long. Relax the shoulders. Open the heart. The gaze is up. Arch the spine. And then exhale, round the spine. Take the hands forward. So as I mentioned, the spine is the super highway of the body. Inhale to arch. Look up. Exhale to round. And the body responds so well to repetition. So each pose you can oscillate for maybe 3 to 5 breath cycles or hold for 3 to 5 breath cycles. Your next inhale, come back to center and exhale, release. After each sequence, I like to take a moment for integration to really feel the impact, to really feel the benefit of each pose on my body. And we'll do a few little side stretches now. Inhale, sweep the arms up. You can interlace your hands again if you like. Take a moment to lengthen that spine, and then exhale, release one hand down, come into a beautiful side stretch. Open the heart, the gaze is up, reach long. The pinky finger turns down. The heart presses forward and the gaze turns up. You may be able to come onto your forearm here, but the key is to really keep both sit bones grounded. So we want to avoid compromising the body's alignment. Inhale, come all the way up. Take the arms up to the sky. Inhale. And exhale. Let's come into a nice side bend on our second side. Feeling that awakening through the side body. Rooting down through the sit bone. Opening the heart. Reaching long. Take the heart up. So begin to feel your body peeling open. I'm on my itsy bitsy spider fingertips here, making sure that I don't collapse my weight, but really that I blossom from any surface that I'm rooting into. The next inhale, come all the way up. You can always take a few circles, just awakening the body, bringing these qualities of fluidity and grounding. Okay, we're gonna come on to hands and knees now for a classic yoga warm-up, using cat-cow. So you can release the cushion from underneath you, bring it to one side, and slowly come on to all fours. Now, the foundation of our alignment, the foundation of our practice is the hands and the feet. And so the principles that we want to adopt in the hands and the feet are universal. In every pose, We want to make sure that our fingers are spread wide. We want to make sure that our toes are spread wide. The wider the foundation, the more supported that we are, the more integrated we are, the more aligned we are. So we're going to come into a little mantra here. Please repeat after me. So spread out, plant down. We have a little sound effect here. Draw in. So let's try it again. Spread out, plant down, draw in. So we want to suck energy up from the earth center, from the palm of our hand, from the arch of our feet. These are really key alignment points that are going to benefit you throughout the rest of your practices. So with our hands, always spread them wide. You can spread the toes wide. And come and sit how I'm sitting for a moment. This is one of my favorite poses. It's samurai seat. So I'm bringing my fingers to separate my toes to make sure they're wide. I'm really lucky here in the jungle. I get to walk barefoot, but likely you're wearing shoes every day and the toes are crunching in a little. So our yoga practice is such an excellent opportunity to awaken the foundation and create that openness. So come and sit on your heels. Make sure the spine is nice and long. You can have your hands in a mudra here and take a few deep breaths. Within our yoga practice, we want to cultivate as much as possible a breath where we're breathing in and out through the nose. But if ever you feel like you have some extra capacity to let go and flow deeper, then you're welcome to release a sigh from the mouth. Bring the hands to the earth, gently release, sit on the heels, and feel that rush and gush of energy moving towards the feet. With our hands, so spread them wide. You can do some wrist circles here. So especially if you are sensitive in the wrist, so important to warm up your wrist, just bringing body circles. So now that we've awoken our foundation of our hands and our feet, we're going to come into cat-cow. So the alignment here is shoulders over the wrist, trying to stack our bones. Spread your fingers wide, make sure the inner palm is lifted. So that's our little sound effect. My hips are 90 degrees over my knees. My toes are tucked. So we work with the breath here. Arch the spine. Lift the chin, look up. This is our inhale. And as we exhale, initiate movement from the tailbone. Turn the tailbone down, round the spine. Hug the chin into the chest. Really exaggerate the roundness. And you can even come up onto the itsy bitsy spider fingertips, really feeling that broadening across the upper back. Some people might even like to lift right off. Plant the hands, arch the spine, inhale, look up. The gaze is up. And exhale, initiate movement from the tailbone, round the spine, chin to chest. Come on to your itsy bitsy spider fingertips. Now stay here an extra breath if it's feeling really good to create space there for you. Otherwise, let's come into 3 more rounds together. Inhale, open the heart, lift the chin, lift the gaze. Exhale, round. Plant the hands, inhale, use the whole of the breath to come into the full expression of the pose. And on your exhale, same thing, use the whole of the exhale to come into the full expression of the pose, really articulating the opening through the back. Last one, maybe the eyes can close as you inhale, connecting your breath, your movement, and your awareness. And exhale. Rounding, opening this energetic superhighway of the spine. Come into a neutral and begin to wiggle around here. So in my practices, I will always offer my students to just use the template of the hands and the knees, the foundation of this pose, to discover what your unique body is inviting you into today. So imagine that you're a wild animal waking up first thing in the morning, just stretching. How does that look for you? And so part of yoga is to really connect to our inner wisdom, our inner guidance, our intuition, to awaken the body. So we can all come into that heart opener together. So come back into a neutral. Walk your hands forward. Keep your hips 90 degrees above the knees. Melt the heart and the chin, maybe the forehead to the earth. This is a heart chakra opening pose, a really beautiful position to warm up with because the heart really is at the center of our practice. We are practicing yoga not only to open our body, but also to open our heart. And slowly you can slide back. Beautiful. Come and sit on your heels for a moment. Take a moment to really connect with how you're feeling in the spine. Are you feeling a little bit more open? Are you feeling a little bit more warm? We've got a few more poses in our warm-up sequence to break down. I think you're going to love the next one. It's one of my top 5 favorite poses, and it's Balasana, or child's pose. So for child's pose, you can bring the big toes to touch, and the knees can be together or wide, your choice. If your sit bones don't quite touch the heels, then bring a cushion under your knees and sit on your heels. And that gives you extra support and extra space. So sitting on your heels, walk your hands forward, wiggle your belly between the thighs, and melt the forehead to the earth. As you inhale, fill the whole back side of the body. And as you exhale, deepen into the pose by walking your hands forward. Now, I always say that child's pose is a gift that you can offer yourself at any point in the practice. It can be a really advanced pose when you're really honoring yourself where you're at in any given moment. Child's pose is there for you to take rest, to come back into pure innocence, to pure receptivity. So there's 4 different ways that I like to practice child's pose, and I'm going to show you those right now. 1 is with my arms extended. And you can try these with me. 2 is with rooting my elbows into the earth, drawing my hands together to the sky in Anjali Mudra, hugging my shoulder blades together on the back. This is a great variation of child's pose that reminds us to come back into the remembrance of our intention for the practice. I also like to bring my arms alongside my body. This is a really deeply nourishing and relaxing version. And lastly, walking my hands forward, I like to come into an engaged child's pose. So rooting my fingertips, lift my armpits, draw the shoulders onto the back, push into the fingers, melt the hips to the heels. So if you're looking for a more engaged child's pose, this option is always available to you. And come back onto your hands and knees. And that is the end of our warm-up section. There's a lot of other movements that you can integrate to warm up the body, but these are some really basic ones to warm up the spine. Standing poses. So in this section of the Foundations of Flow course, we will focus on standing poses, which are some of the most fundamental class of poses in our flow sequence. Now I want to rewind a little bit and talk a little bit about what flow is. Now, flow is a state when we're completely present, where our breath, our movement, and our awareness is in sync with one another. Now, in a yoga practice, you'll often see classes that are called vinyasa flow. Vinyasa simply means to place with awareness. So commonly, when you see a vinyasa flow practice, you can understand that it will be a sequence of poses that are presented to you that generally have the elements of a sun salutation between the sequences. And there are so many different styles of yoga. There's Iyengar and Ashtanga, Anusara, Bikram. There are infinite styles of yoga. But all styles of yoga all come under one umbrella known as Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga. Ha translates in some traditions as sun, Tha as moon. So the goal of our Hatha Yoga practice, whether it's a vinyasa flow practice, whether it's an Ashtanga practice, whether it's a yin yoga practice, the goal is to bring sun and moon, solar and lunar, masculine and feminine aspects into unity, into flow. So, standing poses. There are so many standing poses. In the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which is one of the original sacred texts of yoga that mentions yoga asana, there were originally 15 poses. And nowadays, there are hundreds, some even say thousands of poses. So in today's workshop, we are going to break down some of the key standing poses and the warrior sequence. So just a little bit about standing poses and why we practice them. The standing poses are invigorating, they're strengthening, and they're heating. They increase our stamina and circulation. They create a firm base of support for the legs so that the spine, this energetic superhighway of our body mind, can be free and flowing, relaxed and light. By increasing our power, strength, and stability in the lower body, this translates as greater stability, strength, stamina, and courage within ourselves. So there are a lot of both physiological and psychological benefits to practicing this class of poses, this standing sequence. And the standing poses are all about really grounding in, rooting, feeling that base of support beneath us so that we can really rise up and expand and find more balance. And because standing poses are more strenuous, they are more activating in nature, they also activate our heart and our lungs more fully, increasing blood flow and circulation, and it also helps to detoxify the blood. So we are going to break down some of these key standing poses, and we'll do it through flow. So let's come into a downward facing dog to begin, and so that we can really embody the principles as we learn about them. So starting on hands and knees, finding our alignment, spread the fingers wide, tuck the toes, and come into the inverted V. Take a moment to relax into the pose, wiggle the spine long, lift the armpits. The first pose that we'll look at is a low lunge. So we'll transition to a low lunge from a downward dog. Take your feet together, so you're creating one big foot, a nice tripod, and we'll come into a three-legged dog for transition. So inhale, one leg up to the sky, stay awake in the toes, so push down through the earth, lengthen, press the arms away. If your leg isn't coming as high as mine, no problem. Now we'll move slowly to really navigate this transition with grace and ease. Gently hug the knee into the chest. See, I'm still awake in the toe. Shift the weight forward so that the shoulders are stacked over the wrist. Lift the hip, take the foot between the hands. Now come onto your fingertips. Lift and spread the toes to create a wide, firm base. Activate that back leg. Lift the hips, lift the heart, draw the shoulders back. So this is our low lunge. Feel the earth beneath you. Feel the solidity. Push down through the feet. And now we'll come into a high lunge, a crescent lunge. So rooting the feet down, inhale sweeps the arms all the way up by the ears, and exhale, we sink into this pose. Now, generally speaking, I will come into a crescent lunge to start because it's so deeply opening for the hip flexors, and it keeps our hips and rib cage facing forward in alignment. So bring your hands to your hips for a moment. Hug the bent leg knee, hug the hip back, come deeper into a bend. Now look at your toe. All we want to see is the big toe, maybe the first two toes. So bend your knee a little bit more so there's a 90-degree angle there. So you should feel some burning here. Really activate that back leg. Hug that hip back so we scissor to the midline. Once we have this firm base of support, pushing down through the feet a lot, then we can lift and lengthen the rib cage and take your arms up by your ears. I often see people with their arms forward or maybe even flopping. We want to think of the hands as an extension of the heart. So turn the palms to face each other. Pinky fingers turn to face each other. Sink into the pose and relax the shoulders away from the ears. So we've already looked at that in our previous section together, how relaxing the shoulders away from the ears really helps to alleviate stress. So come a little bit deeper. I often see people's legs flopping in this pose, the hands flopping in this pose. We really want to energize and extend. So this is our crescent lunge. Bring your hands back down to the earth and come into a downward facing dog. We'll try it one more time on the second side. So take your feet together, lengthen opposite leg to the sky, nice long line. See how I'm nice and extended, pressing the thigh bone back. I can even be lifted onto the ball of my back foot. To transition, I slowly hug the knee into the chest, lift the hips, take the shoulders over the wrist, and then the foot comes between the hand. That might take a few tries to get to that place. Come onto your fingertips. Lift the hips, lengthen the heart, lift and spread the toes. Take your time to create a strong foundation for your standing poses. This is going to help prevent injury, and it's going to help you enjoy your practice more as well. Root down the feet. Inhale, sweep your arms up alongside the ears. And then as you exhale, take the time to deepen into the pose. Now, we don't want to come too deep because that's overstressing the muscles. We want to come into alignment where our hips are square, our rib cage is lifted and facing forward, and our knee is bent 90 degrees. Firm that back leg. Take the arms up to the sky. Roll the shoulders around the armpit, so hugging the arms in, and then relax the shoulders. Beautiful. Plant the hands. Downward facing dog. For our next few poses, we're going to weave them together. We're going to come into what's called the dancing warrior sequence, looking at warrior two, a reverse warrior, and a side angle pose. We're going to weave these poses together in a flow, and first really look at the alignment. So let's come up to a standing again, and for now we'll just take our feet about a leg's distance apart. Turn your front foot forward so it's directly facing whatever's over in that direction. Now the back foot is either parallel to the back of the mat or it's slightly turned in. Line up the front of the heel to the middle of the arch. So take a moment and line it up. See an invisible line that connects the front heel to the back of the foot. Slowly bend your front knee. Again, we want to create this 90-degree bend in the knee. Now, the warrior two pose is also, it's a hip opener. You can see this external rotation of the hips here. So we want to bring your hand behind your knee and push your knee into the hand to really activate that external rotation and come a little bit deeper. Look at the toes, look at the foundation of your pose, and make sure that the toes are spread and really rooting down. Now, there's a fancy word that you'll often hear yoga teachers use, which is create an isometric action. So what you want to do is push down a lot through the four corners of both feet and hug that energy as though you're trying to draw opposite ends of the mat in and lengthening up. So again, I'm going to come deep into the bend, open my knee towards the back, lift the rib cage, extend the fingers shoulder height, nice soft elbows. Now push down through the feet. So you're really energizing through the feet and drawing that isometric action, hugging in and up. Beautiful. Come a little bit deeper. The gaze is past the middle finger. I like to look at my arms, both arms, to make sure that this backhand isn't collapsing or back here or floppy. So one way that we can really come into an alignment there is by flipping the palms to face up, hug the shoulders together on the back, and then flip the palms and come deeper. Lift the heart. Feel that expansion across the heart center. Fill the lungs with breath. As you inhale, we rise up, and as we exhale, we deepen. Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Coming now into a reverse warrior. Take the back hand to your thigh. So the template of your legs is exactly the same. You're rooting down, you're pushing down, you're drawing in and up. If you need to take a break for a moment, no problem. You can just watch and try it when you're ready. Bring the back hand to your thigh. Flip the palm to face up. Reach forward. Inhale. And as you exhale, come all the way over into a side bend. Now, what tends to happen here is that we get a little bit lazy on the knee. So keep that bend deep. Keep awareness in the arm. So flip the pinky finger so it's facing down. Relax the shoulder away from the ear. Keep drawing that isometric action in towards the center. And once you feel nice and rooted in the lower body, lift and lengthen the upper body. Spiral the rib cage open. Reach that arm nice and long. So this is our reverse warrior, also known as goddess pose. Root down into the feet a lot as you inhale and come all the way back up. So our last pose here in this dancing warrior sequence is again the same principles, the same foundation, the same base. So again, the front heel is aligned with the arch of the back foot. The knee is bent 90 degrees. Let's begin by bringing our forearm to rest on our thigh. Now, if you're feeling really nice and flexible today, if your hips are nice and open, you might be able to bring your hand to the earth, to the inside of your foot. You may also like to work with a block. Blocks and props are our friends. So if you have some books or a block at home, experiment and see how it feels on your body. Feel how supported you are with our friends, the props. I myself, I like to just rest my forearm on my thighs. So root down through both feet. Press the hips forward. Lengthen the spine and sweep the arm alongside the ear. Again, the pinky fingers turn down, so it's a slight inner rotation there. As you press the hips forward, open your heart, the gaze is up, and relax the shoulder away from the ear. Now really think about pushing into the pinky toe edge of the foot and lengthening through the middle finger. And this is gonna get us the length. This is our side angle pose. To come out, we root down through the feet a lot, and as you inhale, come all the way back up, lengthen the legs. To weave this into a flow, to be able to come to the other side, we bring the back hand to frame the foot, both hands framing the foot, and for now, we'll just come into a downward facing dog. And come onto your knees, take a break, sit back on your heels. So this is some of the basic alignment for our standing poses. Again, there are hundreds of poses that you can choose from, but the principles that we're working with here of grounding, having an awareness of the feet, the knees, the muscular energy, the uplifting heart, the awareness in our arms, the hands facing towards each other, the shoulders back, the heart and spine lengthened and extended can be applied to all the poses. We're going to come into a flow now, a vinyasa flow. weaving together these poses in a practice so that you feel empowered to do this in your own home practice, or when you go to a class and you know these poses are coming, you'll have nailed it. You'll really understand that alignment and how the energy can optimally flow through your unique being. So when you're ready, let's come into a standing pose at the top of our mat. Coming into Tadasana, our feet are hips distance wide. Pinky toe is aligned with the outer edge of the heel. Soft knees. Open the heart. Oh, how wonderful. Tadasana. Open the arms. Inhale, sweep it up. Exhale, hinge from the hips and fold. Inhale, look up and lengthen, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to a high plank. Shoulders over wrists, kneecaps pull up. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to lower, elbows in. Tops of the feet root down. Inhale, open the heart. And exhale, release, downward facing dog. So take a moment to lengthen the spine. Remember this self-adjustment. Come high onto the toes. Soft bend in the knees. Press the belly to the thighs to lengthen the spine, lifting the armpits. And then send the heels back. Take your feet to touch. Coming into our standing warrior flow. Inhale, send the right leg up to the sky. Three-legged dog. You can push down through the ball of the left foot, transitioning to a low lunge. Hug the knee in, lift the hips, shoulders over wrists, and try to bring the heel between the hands. Come on to the fingertips. Lift the hips a lot. Hug your right hip back to lengthen the spine, and lift and spread your toes to get really foundationally strong. Root down, arms up, inhale, crescent lunge. Sink the weight. Check that the knee is 90 degrees over the ankle by looking at the toe. Firm that back leg a lot. Relax the shoulders. Hug your right hip back, so square your hip. Beautiful. From here, we'll transition into our warrior flow. Turn the back foot down. Open the arms and sink into the pose. Press the knee open so we've got that nice external rotation. Push down through the feet a lot. Hug the energy isometrically in and up. Opening the arms deep in the bend. Keep opening the knee. Look at the hands to make sure they're where you think they are. The gaze to the middle finger. Keep sinking into the pose with the exhale. Inhale draws energy, uplifting energy into the heart and chest. Backhand to the thigh, front palm turns up. Inhale all the way up and over. Exhale, sink into the pose. Open the knee, side body long, open the heart, reach long, pinky finger faces down. Maybe this backhand comes to wrap around the back. Root the feet down, inhale, come up, forearm to thigh. So it's all the same base, top arm sweeps long, open the heart, push down through the feet a lot, keep spiraling the heart open, little twist here, keep bending deep. Push down through the feet, inhale, come all the way up. And come into a vinyasa. Cycle the hands, shift the feet forward, step into a high plank. Inhale here, elbows in, lower down. Maybe the knees are coming down. Inhale, open the heart, cobra or up dog, firm the legs. Exhale, release, downward facing dog. Take a moment to rest here, to lengthen the spine. And then we'll come to our second side. So step your feet together, flowing with the breath. Inhale, the left leg sweeps up, three-legged dog. Awaken the fingers and toes. And transition with grace, with presence. Hug the knee in. Lift the hips, shoulders over wrists. And take the foot between the hands. Come on to the fingertips. Draw the shoulders back. Lift the hips. Draw that left hip back. Lengthen the spine. Rooting the feet, inhale, sweep your arms up. So they're not in front of the ears, but right by the ears. Relax the shoulders and sink into the pose. Nice, strong foundation. So here we are in our high lunge, feeling that stretch to the front of the hip flexors, the psoas, the muscle of the soul that connects upper body to lower body, the only muscle that connects upper body to lower body. Keep deepening into the bend, firming the back leg, relaxing the shoulders. So there's always this quality of dynamic stillness to the poses where you can work with the breath to create more space with the body. Inhale, open the heart, lifting up, flowing into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Back foot turns down, open the arms, and find your alignment in this very strengthening, graceful pose. In all of these warrior poses, we're cultivating that warrior energy of strength, courage, balance, perseverance. So look at your feet, make sure they're facing forward. Open the knee, come a little bit deeper. Push into the back foot a lot. Hips are square. Notice when I squared the hips, this knee came forward. So again, I want to keep pressing the knee open, lift the heart, and extend the arms a the height of the shoulders. Activate the fingers. Check your arms. Make sure you're still pressing down through the feet. Back hand to the thigh. Front palm turns up. This is our goddess pose, a reverse warrior. Bring your arm up and over as you inhale. And as you exhale, deepen into the bend. Keep opening the knee. Spiral the heart open. Reach the arm long. Pinky finger faces down. The gaze is up. Now again, push down through the four corners of both feet to come up through Warrior 2. And then we come into our side angle pose. Forearm to thigh, top arm alongside the ear. Push down through the pinky toe edge of the back foot. Reach long. So feel that side body extension. Feel that line of energy flowing. And keep pushing down through both feet. Keep the knee bent. Root down. Pushing down through the front foot. Inhale, come all the way up. Maybe you're lengthening your front foot. And either take a vinyasa or bring your back hand to frame the front foot. Pivot the back foot forward. Come straight to a downward facing dog. And then join your knees to the earth. And take a well-deserved child's pose. So just notice how you're feeling. Are you feeling invigorated and strong and like that energy is pumping through you? So this is our standing sequence. This is our standing flow. Core and balance. Throughout our flow practice, we are strengthening our core. Like a starfish, we radiate from the center of our being into the rest of the limbs. And all of these poses that we're doing, all of the stretching and opening is all to draw us into our center so that we can remain balanced or come back to balance. So when life kind of moves us in waves, sometimes we go all the way down, sometimes we go all the way up. What we want to cultivate through our yoga practice is resilience, is this ability to come back to center with more grace and more ease. So throughout our warm-ups and standing poses in this flow practice, we're mostly strengthening our core through these held high planks and chaturangas. But we can also do some really dedicated core work. So maybe you have some sit-up practices or some Pilates flows that you do. The main core practice that we do in yoga is called Navasana. So today we're gonna start with some core poses and then we're going to move into some standing balancing poses. So release your feet forward and give yourself a nice big hug around the legs. Come to balance on your sit bones so that the toes are floating, and take a moment to bring your forehead to rest into the knees. I always think of this as like a floating egg in a spoon pose. We used to have to do little races, little obstacle races when we were kids at school where we would have to balance eggs in a spoon. So feel like that egg right now. Feel the stretch across the back of the neck, rooting down through the sits bones. Now to transition into Navasana, look up, show peace and love to the world, wrap it around the big toes. Now Roll the shoulders, hug the shoulders down the back. We always want to make sure that we're not collapsing, but that we're really rooting down from the base and lengthening and rising up through the upper body. Spread the fingers and toes, always aware of our foundation, and then slowly lengthen the legs towards the sky. So you get a nice hamstring stretch here. Hug the belly and lift the heart, draw the shoulders back. Now, option one would be to stay integrated in the core. Bring your hands behind the back for balance and bend the knees. You're always welcome to work with variations. Now, again, making sure that you're not collapsing, but really rising up. Draw the shoulders back. Option two would be to lengthen the legs. Option three would be to free the arms. And option four would be to really extend, but keep that upper body nice and lifted. Now you might have some little bicycles here that you work with to strengthen the core, or maybe pumping the arms up and down on either side. There's so many different ways to strengthen the core. But the reason that we strengthen the core, as mentioned earlier, is to really be able to find our center, to find our balance. Bring your feet down to the earth. Bring your hands behind the back, fingertips facing the top of the mat, and we'll come into a neutral to release the pressure here. So push into the foundation, the hands and the feet. Lift the hips for a reverse table and relax the head back. Bring your chin to your chest, lower down. Crisscross the feet. Come into a downward facing dog for transition. Lengthen the spine. Look up between the hands, step or jump to the top of the mat, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. Take the arms wide, root the feet, inhale all the way up, the gaze is up, and exhale, bring the hands into the heart. So I show you that just to demonstrate how we can flow from seated poses to standing poses using the poses that we work with in the sun salutation. That's what we call this vinyasa flow practice. If you want to spend a little bit of extra time on the core, I always enjoy it. It really also helps me in a meditation pose to sit up nice and tall. When your core is strong, your rib cage and heart just feel like they can float on top. Now, standing balancing. Let's look at a few key poses here. For standing balancing poses, there are 3 keys that we really want to keep in mind at all times. Now the first, like our other standing poses, like all of the poses that we've looked at so far, is the foundation. We want to have a solid and mindful foundation in our feet. So let's start with the right foot. Lift and spread the right toes. Place them as far from each other as possible. The wider the base, the more structurally integrated, the more balanced. Lift the heel, draw it back, and then shift all the way to that right foot. So this left foot is nice and solid. If you find that your right toes are wiggling or coming up off the earth, then just start again. Lift and spread the toes. Place them down as far from each other as possible. There's no hurry. Take your time to really create a solid foundation. So shift your weight to that foundation. So first is the foundation. The second is core awareness. So draw your belly in towards the spine. This is also known as Uddiyana Bandha in yoga. As you hug your belly into the spine, you're helping to draw the energy in and up, drawing the energy in towards the center. So engage your core. And then the third principle is drishti, finding a focus point and keeping it steady and still. The more focused we are, the easier it is to stay balanced, both on the mat and off the mat in your life. So we're shifting the weight. Bring your hands to your hip. And the first pose that we'll try on here is Vrikshasana, tree pose. Again, like all of the other poses, we have variations to work with. Option 1 is come onto the ball of your opposite, your left foot. Option 2 is to bring your foot underneath the knee. Option 3 is to take your hand and you can bring your foot inside the thigh. This is our classic tree pose. As you push your foot into the thigh, or as you push your foot into the surface, you open your knee back, getting that external rotation of the hips. Make sure that the hips are level. Root down through your feet. Root down and then rise up. Feel your side body lengthening. Some of you might even be able to come into a half lotus pose here. Just find your edge, whatever feels like that's taking you to your edge, the place where you can grow and expand the most. So I'm pushing down through my foot, lengthening through my side body, and then inhale, I can sweep the arms up, relaxing the shoulders, arms by the ears. Maybe your arms are flowing in the wind. You're so stable and rooted that no matter what happens in the outside world, no matter which winds and storms come through your branches, you're staying steady and centered. So we can see that there's so many psychological benefits as well as physiological benefits. Maybe you're taking your hands in prayer. And for an extra challenge, you can also try to close your eyes and draw that drishti, that internal focus, within. Gently release your hands, release the foot with control, and shake it out. Now, our balance poses can be so revealing, showing us that we're more balanced on one side than the other. And this is all just information to help you know yourself more, to help you understand your body in this moment, and it gives you information on how to work with it. So we practice compassion for ourselves at every stage of the journey, remembering it's the journey, not the destination. We keep practicing and practicing and practicing until we take our last breath, staying humble, like a beginner's mind, open to receiving, open to learning. Let's try it on our second side. Lift and spread your left toes. Place them as far from each other as possible. Lift the heel, drag it back, shift the weight to the foot, yielding into the earth. So there's a soft bend in the knee, always a soft bend in the knees, soft bend in the elbow. Nothing in nature is a straight line, and that includes our bodies. So we want to keep that soft yield to the earth. Take your hands to your hips, make sure the hips are level. Option 1, foot to the earth. Option 2, into the shin. Option 3, guide your foot to the inside of the thigh. Make sure the hips are level. Root the foot into the thigh to lift and expand the side body and open the hip flexor, the knees coming out. The side body is lengthening. Rooting down to rise up. Inhale, takes the arms up. We bring breath and life into our upper body, feeling that expansion in our heart and lungs. Relax the shoulders. Again, we can dance the arms. Come into a prayer. Maybe come into a twist on each side. The key thing here is just to have a strong foundation, core integration, and a steady focus. Release the hands, release the foot, shake it out. Beautiful. I'm going to show you one more little sequence of standing balancing poses. So again, foundation, core, and drishti, focus. Start with the right side. Lift and spread the right toes, lift the right heel, drag it back, shift the weight to the right foot, hug the core in, lift the heart, interlace the hands, and cradle the knee. See how I'm leaning back to expand through my heart center. Maybe I'm awakening the ankle here. So this is a classic Ashtanga sequence now, this hand to toe pose. Bring your right hand to the right hip, peace and love to the world, wrap around the big toe. Now keep your hips even. Inhale, lift the heart. And as you exhale, slowly extend the leg only as far as feels comfortable. So maybe the knee is bent. Maybe the leg can straighten all the way. But notice if you're rounding your spine and losing integration. Again, we always want the base of the body to be nice, steady, and firm. So find your edge. Lift the heel, inhale, and as you exhale, open the leg wide. Take the arm out for extra balance. Try to keep the hips level. Press out through the ball of the foot. Maybe you're even working with a strap here. Inhale, come back forward. Press out through the four corners of the feet and gently lower the leg down with control. Shake it out. So the aim is to flow through these movements with presence, with control. So feel free to go slow, to use a strap, and to start again anytime. We'll practice one more time. Second side, lift and spread the left toes. Left heel lifts and draws back. Shift the weight to the left foot. Core integration. Steady gaze. Interlace the hands, cradle the knee. Push the knee into the hands to lean back and lengthen the spine. Maybe you're awakening the ankles here. Find your breath. Bring your left hand to the left hip. Peace and love, wrap around the big toe. Lift the heart and lengthen the leg as you exhale, as long as feels comfortable. Maybe the knee is bent here. Keep the spine lifted and long. Inhale, lifts the heel. Exhale, open the leg wide. Maybe the arm comes out for extra balance. Keep lifting and lengthening through the heart. Come back to center, hands to the hips, both hands. Push out through the four corners of both feet. And exhale, slowly release. So these are the main principles of standing balance poses. And you can use these principles in an eagle pose, in a warrior three, in so many other of the shapes that you will come across in your practice. We are coming into the final section of the Foundations of Flow course. So just want to take a moment to celebrate you. You're so awesome. Thank you so much for maintaining your focus and awareness. I really hope that this is benefiting you and that you're going to feel more confident and at ease with your own flow. So we're entering into the finishing sequence portion of the flow. We close our practice always with an inversion, followed by shavasana, meditation, prayer, and gratitude. So inversions are amazing because we're flipping everything on its head. In inversions, we are bringing the legs up to the sky, reversing the flow of gravity, and sending all kinds of revitalizing energy and blood flow to all of our muscles, organs, and glands. Inversions are really calming poses, really beneficial for the nervous system. There are so many benefits. Inversions can also really help with our circulatory system, our blood system, and just really massaging all of those internal organs and glands. Inversions help us to feel more calm, connected, soothed, and present. An inversion is actually any position where the head is below the heart. So you could consider downward facing dog an inversion. But generally, when we think about inversions, we're talking about headstand and shoulder stand. Now, if you're a woman on her moon cycle, you would avoid going completely upside down. And that's many reasons. The main reasons is that we have a flow of energy in our body that in the yogic system is known as apanavayu. And apanavayu is the downward flow of energy in the body. So it relates to the movement of energy out of the body. So elimination and our blood flow, our menstrual flow. That energy wants to come down and out of our body. And when we bring ourselves into inversion, then we're sending that energy back into our body. So please honor your cycle, and you can just bring your legs up the wall. I'm going to show us that variation. So let's get started. Come onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest to begin. Make sure that the whole of the back is on the earth, the shoulders are equally rooted, and bring your feet up to the sky. So this is Viparita Karani, or legs up the wall pose. And this is a safe pose to do if you're on your moon cycle, safe if having pressure on your shoulders and necks is contraindicated, if that is going to cause you any discomfort. You're welcome to bring a cushion or a block underneath your sacrum. Your sacrum is the triangle bone at the base of your spine. So you're welcome to elevate your sit bones and bring your heels, knees, and hips into one line. We also have the dying cockroach variation, bringing your arms up, the wrists stacking above the shoulders, and maybe you're shaking it out. So this is a beautiful inversion. Another benefit of inversions is that any energy that is yet to be purified throughout our practice has the opportunity to come back in through the fire of our belly, that the core fire, and to be purified. So we'll just release that cushion for now. So our first inversion is legs up the wall pose, Viparita Karani. A second variation is Happy Baby. Love this pose. It's also a hip opener. So take the feet hips distance or even wider, bend the knees. The hands can come to the inner arch of the feet or peace and love around the big toes, heels to the sky. Hug the knees down into the armpits as you press your feet up. And when I'm in Happy Baby, I like to rock side to side and play with lengthening one foot at a time, playing like a Happy Baby, aptly named pose. So these variations are always available to you. If you come into a class and you're being offered something like a shoulder stand or a headstand that may feel too advanced for you or too energizing for you, too much energy, then come into one of these poses, Happy Baby or legs up the wall. The next pose that we'll come into is shoulder stand, Sarvangasana. So lift your hips, take your feet up by the head, rock your shoulders underneath your back, bring your hands to your low back so the fingers are facing up to the sky, and lengthen the heels up. The big toes are touching, the heels, knees, and hips are all in one line. Now in this pose, it's so important to stay mindful of avoiding moving the head or neck. A lot of injuries that come in a yoga practice happen when you're looking around. So extend the legs. Maybe you're even flointing the feet, which is halfway between a flex and a point. You're pushing through the ball of the feet, but drawing the toes back towards your face. From here, there are many different variations that you can play with. I'm going to show you a few. So the first variation, and we want to move and transition as though we're moving through honey, might be a splits pose. So bring your right leg forward, your left leg back. You can twist across the midline. Inhale to bring it back to center. Exhale to switch sides. Inhale to draw it back up. See how I'm staying awake in the feet and my head is nice and still. My chin can lift slightly, so there's a mango between my chin and my throat. You can try a butterfly pose, pushing your feet together, open your knees away in the opposite direction of your head. Inhale back to the sky. Keep your feet activated. Inhale here, exhale, open the legs wide. Push out through the balls of your feet. Feel this last opportunity for a beautiful hip opener. Inhale back to the sky. You may like to bring one foot down to the earth at a time, maybe opening into a deeper split. Both sides. If you're feeling really open and flexible in the hip, a more advanced variation would be to come into a full lotus pose, bringing your hands to the knees. So if you're not quite here yet, feel inspired about where you can go and save it for later. You can bring one knee at a time to your third eye. The space in between the eyebrows. See if you can balance with both knees into the third eye. Beautiful. Now we come into halasana or plow pose. Bring your feet to the earth. You might bring your feet to rest on a block if the feet don't quite make it to the earth. Push into the earth to Lift the hips, curl the pelvis up, rock the shoulders underneath. Maybe you're interlacing your hands. Maybe the hands are at the low back, or maybe the hands come to touch the feet. Keep pressing the backs of the legs, lifting the hips. See what I'm doing here? Lift the hips, take the folds out of the belly. Hold this pose as long as feels comfortable. This is also a common pose in a yin yoga practice known as snail, really beneficial. Now, if it's available to you, you'll bend your knees on either side of the ears and hug your arms to cover your eyes. So your knees are squeezing your ears, your arms are covering your eyes. This is a pose of sensory withdrawal, pratyahara. Keep lifting the hips. To release, bring your hands to the earth, lengthen your legs, and slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae, lower down. Beautiful. We always want to counterpose our shoulder stand. So we'll come into the resting pose that we used for our back bend sequence. So bring your feet to the ground, open your knees wide, butterfly pose, and rock your hands, palms facing down underneath your butt cheeks. This is Matsyendrasana, fish pose, Matsyasana, pardon me. So the elbows root into the side of the body. This is just one variation of this pose. You may come across a few more in your practice. Rooting the elbows down, we lift the heart. So the heart is the highest point, the shoulders drawing back. And if it's available to you, the head can come all the way to the earth. Draw your chin into the chest to release. Come on to the back. Okay, this is exciting, guys. We've made it to our final resting pose. We're in Shavasana. Take your feet as wide as the mat. Open your arms, palms face up. Wiggle around so both shoulder blades are nice and flat on the earth. The head is nice and grounded. Maybe you're tucking your chin into the chest. And you can bring a cushion underneath your knees or underneath your head. And take a few moments to close your eyes and feel the sensation of grounding and releasing. Shavasana is the ultimate pose of letting go. I'm going to come up to talk to you. You can stay in Shavasana. Shavasana is also known as corpse pose. And it's called corpse pose because we're dying to the person that we were before we came into this practice. We're letting go of the stories. We're letting go of this transient form. We practice dying because this is one of the highest spiritual practice, one of the ultimate ways that we can let go and actually find more joy and freedom in this life that we have here now. Shavasana reminds us that everything in life is transient. All we have is this life that starts from the first breath we take until the last breath we take. So Shavasana is a pose of deep integration. It's integrating this capacity to let go, but it's also integrating the muscle memory of all of the opening and twisting and expanding and stretching that we've been doing throughout our own practice. To truly experience the deep and powerful benefits of this transformational pose, some might say the most important pose of our practice, the most rich and powerful pose of the practice, I would invite you to stay in this pose for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Whatever you do, please make sure that in your yoga practice, you honor this pose of Shavasana to really experience the full benefit of the practice. So I'm going to come onto my back again so that I can transition with you back into a seated pose. So take a big breath into your belly. And as you exhale, awaken your fingers and toes. Stretch the arms long above your head. Stretch long from fingers to toes, awakening like you're waking up first thing in the morning. And then hugging the knees into the chest. Roll onto one side. So we stay here for a few moments in this beautiful fetal position, remembering, like the Buddha tells us, that each day we're born anew, and it's what we do with this day that truly matters. So you'll use the top hand, push into the top hand, extend the top leg, and find your way back into a seated meditation pose. You can come and sit on your cushion. Flesh away from the sit bones. Maybe one foot in front of the other. You can take a mudra with your hands, thumb and index finger. Lengthen the sit bones. And take a moment to close your eyes and marinate in the goodness of the practice. How do you feel after this flow? Are you feeling more calm, more centered, more strong, more balanced, at peace, at ease? Hopefully with this series, you're feeling more confident and empowered. I would invite you to bring your hands together in prayer. Anjali Mudra at the heart center, elbows lift, heart expanding, and revisit your sankalpa. Revisit the intention that you created when we started this course together. Take a few moments to breathe into that intention. And we come into the practice of gratitude now. What are you truly grateful for in your life? Perhaps you're grateful to have this healthy body to practice in. Perhaps you're grateful for the feet that you walk on every day, the coffee you drank this morning, the people in your life. No matter how dire or challenging our lives can feel to be, there was always something to feel grateful for. And the more gratitude that you can cultivate in your life, the more contentment that you'll experience. In yoga, we call this santosha, contentment. It's a flavor of happiness, a flavor of joy, where you're practicing the art of loving what is. So take the last few moments here to love what is, to offer gratitude. And we close our practice. We seal the container of our practice exactly as we began. And this creates a feeling of ritual. A ritual is when we just change our mental state consciously. And our yoga practice is a ritual. So we close this ritual of practice with the sacred vibration of Om 3 times, coming into harmony with ourselves, harmony with the environment around us. Maybe you can hear the beautiful cicadas in the jungle here, and harmony also with the people in our lives. So we'll join the cicadas in 3 beautiful Oms, coming from the heart, sending out our intention, sending out our gratitude, so that there's a ripple effect into the planet, so that all beings in all realms may be peaceful and free. So close your eyes. Join me for 3 beautiful Oms. Take a nice and deep breath in. Draw your chin to your chest, bow to the heart, this greatest teacher of all. Bring your hands to the earth and gently bow in reverence to the earth. The light within me sees the light within you, and I know that we are one. This is one of the interpretations of the beautiful greeting that we often use in yoga and that you hear all over India and Nepal, and that is Namaste. Thank you so much for your beautiful practice and presence here. I hope that your yoga journey is richer and more empowered as a result. And I hope to see you again in the future. Lots of love. Namaste.